is Gennady and you're watching Dante Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So despite Dazn approving the WBO middleweight champion of the world, Demetrius Andrade, to be Canelo Alvarez's next opponent, according to reports, Canelo Alvarez has officially passed on the idea of facing Demetrius Andrade next. Instead, he's going to wait on the Kovalev versus Anthony Yarde fight to decide who he's going to fight next. You know, with Canelo Alvarez's career, it seems like ever since he fought Floyd Mayweather, he's always taken one step forward and then he takes two steps back. For example, he'll fight Erislandy Lara, and then after he fights Erislandy Lara, not only does he not give him a rematch, since so many people thought that Lara won the fight, but then he starts fighting C and D level opponents for the next year or two. And this has always been Canelo's pattern. Canelo Alvarez, he gets a big win over Danny Jacobs, and then after that, he gives up two of his belts, one to Jermall Charlo and the other to Darren Yevchenko. Now, instead of him fighting the WBO middleweight champion Demetrius Andrade, he's just going to sit on the bench and wait for a possible fight with Sergey Kovalev, after the fact that Dazn approved the fight. Now listen, I understand why Canelo is not in a hurry to fight Gennady Golovkin a third time. He just beat him in his last fight, and Golovkin hasn't fought anyone since they fought. I mean, Canelo Alvarez has a great argument when it comes to the fact that you have Canelo fighting Danny Jacobs and you have Golovkin fighting Steve Rose. But when it comes to Demetrius Andrade, there is no reason for Canelo to turn down that fight other than him thinking that that's too tough of a fight to win. Because it makes absolutely no sense to wait to fight Kovalev when you could be fighting Demetrius Andrade. I mean, if Canelo Alvarez feels that he's the best in the middleweight division, why doesn't he just fight them both? Why doesn't he fight Demetrius Andrade, beat Andrade, and then fight Kovalev? And then fight Charlo? Fight all of the best middleweights. And you know, don't get me wrong, Sergey Kovalev, especially if he beats Anthony Yarde, that is a good fight for Canelo Alvarez. But the reality is, Sergey Kovalev, he's been knocked out twice, versus a Demetrius Andrade who's undefeated. And that's the main reason Canelo prefers to fight Sergey Kovalev over Demetrius Andrade. I mean, Sergey Kovalev has never been a big draw in the sport of boxing. So you can't sit over here and say that's the reason why he's picking him. He's obviously picking him because he sees flaws in Kovalev that he obviously doesn't see in Demetrius Andrade. You know, I told you guys after Danny Jacobs struggled against Darren Yevchenko that Canelo Alvarez will most likely fight him now because he looked vulnerable in that fight. I said out of the three, out of Jacobs, Andrade, and Charlo, Canelo probably perceives Danny as the weakest link. He's been knocked out before, he struggled against Darren Yevchenko, and everything that I said, it came to fruition. Matter of fact, after I said that, Oscar De La Hoya, I remember he did an interview. He was asked, out of Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, and Danny Jacobs, which one do you want first? And Oscar De La Hoya, he said Danny Jacobs. For the same reasons I just mentioned. But when it comes to Jermall Charlo, Canelo Alvarez, he vacates his belt. When it comes to Demetrius Andrade, Canelo Alvarez would rather just sit around and wait to fight Sergey Kovalev, instead of fighting a viable opponent that Dazn actually approved Canelo to fight. And I might add, a fight that would do really good numbers. For many reasons, but one of the main reasons is because Demetrius Andrade is a threat. And when anyone is threatening Canelo, his fans are going to come out even stronger by supporting him. So let's see what Canelo Alvarez decides to do, but I'm telling you right now, this is just a bad look. It's a bad look for Canelo Alvarez. He said he wanted to unify the belts. He's starting to sound a lot more like Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin, he was telling everybody his main purpose in boxing was to be the unified middleweight champion. All he wants to do is unify the belts. Soon as competition got tough, soon as mandatories like Jermall Charlo came along, Darren Yevchenko, all of a sudden Golovkin, he starts giving his belts up. All of a sudden he starts saying belts are not that important anymore, right? But I'll tell you something really ironic when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. The IBF belt that Golovkin gave up to avoid Darren Yevchenko, now he's being ordered to fight that same Darren Yevchenko for the same belt. And it's going to be kind of hard for Golovkin to get out of this because, once again, he really has no one to fight. And it makes all the sense in the world because that's a title shot. And that is for more leverage going into a Canelo third fight, if Canelo decides to fight him. And actually, I misspoke when I said Golovkin, he doesn't have anyone else to face because he also could have fought Demetrius Andrade for that WBO strap, since Canelo most likely is not going to fight him. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.